Okay, we'll continue. And now I would like to invite Ajith, with more than 20 years of experience in business analysis, product management, program management, working over continents and industries. So Ajit will be sharing about the energy and utilities domain. Again, you know and heard that, especially with AI, the usage of energy actually grows not exponentially, but pretty seriously.
Yeah.
And now we have, to build capabilities in order to meet the ever-growing energy demands, while keeping that sustainable. And yeah, that's why we as business analysts we need to understand how to work with companies in this domain, and this is where Ajit will help us. Please welcome.
Thank you. It was a wonderful presentation, Bindu. Thanks for that. And I welcome you all for the presentation, what I'm going to have today. So this is focused on the energy and utilities domain. And thanks for the introduction, Roman. So I'll spend next 30 minutes going through a couple of slides which I've made. Again, 30 minutes is too short to talk about any of the domain topics. But I'll try to give some idea about what are the key areas which we can focus on this domain, especially from an advanced business analysis perspective, and how can we add value to the customers. So this is the kind of topics which I would like to cover today. We'll talk about introduction, as in why this domain expertise matter. We'll talk about the trends that is transforming the energy and utilities industry. We'll talk about the changing consumer behavior. You will see more talk about the prosumers right now. And then we'll talk about the role of advanced business analysis in this vertical. Then we also will spend some time about talking the emerging opportunities, what you see in this domain, and the future proofing, which we can do in the system. And kind of a bit of note for the domain-focused business analysis. What do they need to do to on the front track of the system? Right. Let's look at why domain expertise matters. So I'm going to focus on energy and utilities. Likewise, any other domain, if you're working on, let's say, finance sector or banking sector, every industry has its own potential and it matters to the area which you're working on. So let's look at why energy and utilities is key. We all know it's the backbone of economy, right? It powers all the industries what we have, and most of the systems are fueled by the energy industry. You look at any transformations right now which is happening on the automotive industry or maybe on the agriculture sector, energy is key, right? And it is the central element to achieve the climatic goals. So if you look at right now, the global emission, the global gas emission, if you look at it, it's around 74% of the global gas emission is through the energy industry. So they are the main contributors for all these global emissions. So there is a heavy focus on having net zero implemented. So most of the organizations are actually moving towards those targets. You might have seen that many countries have enrolled for net zero targets as well, right? And it's a big industry. It's $1 trillion industry, and which is driving renewable energy transition. If you look at UK in particular, they have invested heavily on renewable energy right now, especially on the solar and the wind turbines. The target is by 2020 or 2030, they wanted to have 40% of houses being powered using the wind turbines. That's the kind of target UK is working towards right now. So that's a big industry, and there is heavy focus, and there are a lot of potentials, and there is a lot of opportunity for us as a business analyst to work there. Now, what do you get by having a combination of business analysis and domain expertise? With that combined knowledge, you can actually have impact created on this industry. So you can solve sector-specific problems, especially in the range of grid modernization. So you might have seen that we are moving into smart grids. We have got a lot of new infrastructure coming in. We have got distributed energy resources. We have got blockchains coming into play. We have got AI. We always talk about Gen AI, right? So there is a lot of play which we can do there. Then we have got renewable adoption and consumer demand. So you might have heard about smart meter rolling out in most of the countries, and UK is also doing very well there. So we get complex data from smart meters. We can help in translating this complex data into actionable strategies. Now,
sorry, just a quick question. There is also a camera that we have in the online translation. So yeah, just move slightly.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes. Right, and we can also facilitate compliance with energy regulations and the sustainable initiatives like ESG and all of that. Next comes the point around delivering values. So how do we provide values to the customers? How can we derive insights out of the data what we have from the industry? So we can look at market trends, we can look at the transition to renewables. So we will be able to look at the kind of raw data what we get from the smart meters. How can we do analytics on those data? What can we provide to the customers? What are the kind of tariffs that we can offer to the customers? And then we will also look at the consumer behavior. So depending on the certain pattern of the day, let's say if you have got an electric vehicle, right, you mostly be interested in charging it during the off-peak hours, right? So how do you identify those customers and what kind of tariffs you can offer to those kind of customers? So you can create some personalized experiences for customers. And then you can also look at the analytics driven return of investments. You can boost the efficiency of the network. So we talk about the infrastructure which is getting old. There are certain scenarios where you can identify what device can go wrong at what point, depending on how long that's been operational in the system, right? So that will help in increase in revenue because you don't want the system to break. So you identify these issues upfront and you help in resolving the issues even before that happens. Now, in this slide, I want to talk about the trends that is transforming the energy industry. So, as you all know, decarbonization and net zero, it's key, and it is one of the key factors which every company or every organization, if you look at on the energy sector, is focusing right now. More than 140 countries have enrolled for net zero targets right now, and they are all keen to see how efficient that can be. The other bit is the distributed energy resources. So most of you know now we have rooftop solars everywhere. So most of the houses, what you see here in UK, you might have seen that everybody is actually aiming for a solar panels on the roof, right? And people are also going for the batteries, EV batteries as well. So they have got charging stations almost everywhere, and people have started using the EVs as a kind of a mechanism to feed back power into the grid. So that's not a new topic anymore. It's been in the industry, and that is actually a key trend which is transforming the industry right now. The other bit is the grid modernization and resilience. So we talked about the old infrastructure which is getting transformed through smart grids, and the automation of those network infrastructure is happening on a big scale, and it is helping to avoid certain complicated situations in the network where you have energy deficiencies being managed properly. Right. Then comes the digitization and smart infrastructure. Right? So we have moved away from all those old infrastructures. We talked about cloud. We talked about the edge devices, the computing devices, which does a lot of computing capability, which has got a lot of computing capability on the edge side itself, and they're able to do a lot of calculations. So you don't need to transfer so much of data to the end system. You can do it in the far end of the edge itself. So these are a few things which is happening right now from a digitalization and smart infrastructure space. Next is the consumer environment and prosumers, right? So consumers are no more consumers, right? So they are producers. They are producing energy these days, right? So look at you have EVs at home, you have solars, right? You are generating energy, and you might have excess energy as well. So you don't just use it for yourself; you're feeding it back to the grid. So the grid should have that capability where it can manage the excess energy that's being fed in. So those are some of the topics if you look at it, which is transforming. And the last and bit around the trend is the regulatory and market evolution. So market is evolving, and of course, with the market evolution, you will see regulatory changes as well, right? So these are some of the key trends what you see within the industry, which is actually reshaping the industry into a better world. I want to spend a few minutes here to talk about the changes what you have noticed in the consumer behavior. So we all are consumers of energy, right? So we all have either a traditional meter, which is a conventional meter, or a smart meter at home, right? If you have a smart meter, you wanted to know, right, what is my energy usage, right? Can I get some savings out of it? Because my bills are high, the prices are going so high, right? So there are a lot of changes what is happening. So I have classified them into these categories. If you look at it, we have seen a lot of prosumer emergence. Digital personalization is something which customers prefer right now. They have got green preferences. They are also interested in, they are price sensitive, right? So because of the market fluctuations, consumer is like, okay, I want to get better deals out of the energy products what you have made available in the market, and they are interested in new program participations. Let's focus on some of these key bits. One is the prosumer emergence. So we talked about it a bit while. So most of the homeowners have got solar right now. They have got solar panels installed and they have battery power devices at home and they are selling power back to the grid. What is the key highlight? Most of the houses these days are having self-generation capability. With that comes the peer-to-peer energy trading capability. Right? So you don't need a big grid to actually support or provide energy to another house. You can actually support the energy requirements of a nearby house. So these are the things which are coming in from the introduction of the solar panels, batteries, and the distributed energy resources in the market. Next one is the digital personalization. With the introduction of smart meters, what you are noticing is huge volume of data coming back to the system, right? With the data, we can do a lot of analytics, we can do a lot of real-time calculations, and you can identify the real-time usage of certain consumer base. And with the help of AI energy assistance, we can do a lot of analytics again, and we can introduce the capabilities from the likes like Alexa, which will do home automation. So with the data, what you get from these meters and with the kind of energy agents, what you can bring in, you can do wonderful things within your home. Again, to call out the highlights, you will have better control over the apps. You will have customized plans which you can offer to the customers, like the time of use plans which you see right now, based on the certain usage patterns. So these are some of the offerings which we can provide. Next is the green preferences. Right? So the customers are more interested in these days to offer plans which are mostly based on renewable generation. So let's say several customers are saying, I wanted to have energy from the renewable sources, right? So the energy suppliers are trying to figure out how can we identify those and how can we actually provide those kind of offerings to the customers. And they wanted to know what is the carbon emission happening as part of those energy uses. So whether it's a fossil fuel based energy generation, or is it a renewable energy? So they want to do carbon tracking as well. And then comes the community solar. Whoever is not able to actually have solar rooftops, they're actually going for this community solar, which is nothing but you can have a certain portion of the solar capability rented for a certain duration. So you have this big solar farms, right? So you can actually say that, okay, I wanted to get into an engagement for a year, and then I want to use energy for that certain duration. So whatever you use and whatever you pay for that 1 year, there will be an incentive which will be given by the energy supplier for using the renewable energy. Highlight here, eco-conscious choices. And the next bit is the price sensitivity, right? We talked about the increase in prices. It is so volatile these days. The prices are going up and down most of the times, right? So the customers are interested in stability. They wanted to know, okay, what will be my bill? Can I have a same bill for every month, depending on the usage? Can I have a certain average calculated properly, right? And they want to know tools which will help them identifying what would be their pattern. So they wanted to know the budget billing and they wanted to know the time of use plans. So these are the key bits which they are interested from a price sensitivity perspective. Then comes the program participation, right? So if you look at, I think you might know your energy suppliers will be providing a lot of incentives right now, right? So they will be saying, for example, if you take British Gas, they say peak save Sundays. What does that mean? So you use energy for a certain period in Sunday, during Sunday, you get discount on your energy prices. So they are actually promoting those kind of offerings so that they can actually incentivize the customer. And they are also giving some net metering options. So if you're generating excess energy as part of your solar rooftop, and if you're feeding it back to the grid, they are able to figure out how much of energy you are putting back to the grid and whether it's a renewable energy source or not. And depending on that, they are giving you incentives. So these are the areas where the consumer behavior is changing right now. And these are the areas where there are potential where we can add value to the business. Now, I just wanted to talk about how from advanced business analysis, we can support all these segments, be it the consumer segment or be it the industry itself. So this is structured in two phases. I would like to talk about the data and technology enablers first. So some of the key known topics here would be the cloud platform, the IoT data ingestion, and the data governance. So as an advanced business analyst who understands the domain and who knows very good, who has got very good insight about business analysis, We can help in defining the data that we need to receive from the endpoint, and we can define the strategy for ingesting this data into the system. So be it be the data that is coming from the smart meters, or be it be the data that comes from your IoT endpoints or any of the sensors. We can collaborate with architects because we are the domain experts. We understand what the customer needs are. So we can easily collaborate with architects to structure a cloud native scalable solution, be it be in any of the cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, etc. We can also help in designing the data governance framework because we know what is in customer specific data, we know what is sensitive, so we can decide the governance policies, the ownership, the quality, and the usage rights. Next bit is around the AI and ML frameworks and real-time analytics. Right, so with the enough knowledge of the domain and with the kind of business analysis experience, you can help in prioritizing the ML use cases. For example, I would like to call up load forecasting, fault detection, and identifying the real issues the customer facing, and using natural language processing, you can identify the problem whenever they talk to your customer care or whenever they talk to the agents within these communities. Other way is you can work with data scientists because they are the experts. They have got good knowledge about data, how to play with data. But we have got the business domain expertise as well, so you can work with them to define the business hypothesis, and you can ensure the models what they create aligns with the operational goals. So that's something which is interesting as well, and that drives the insights into dashboards that embed AI recommendations for operations, customer experience, and planning. So in this slide, I would like to cover the analytics capabilities or the use cases which we can bring in. So this is kind of network-oriented capabilities. You are talking about predictive maintenance. So we talked about the network, the transmission and the distribution networks, what you have within the industry, which transmits or distributes power from grids. So we can analyze, or we can help in analyzing the historic faults. We can look at the weather pattern, we can look at the sensor data, and we can define a pattern for the asset. Let's say this asset is being in use for certain duration and it has had these failures in the past. And all these failures happen because of a certain reason, especially during the season of winter. We have got a lot of issues with these transformers, for example. So we can analyze those patterns and we can define a model to say that, okay, apply this model to make sure that the devices what you have on your network, even before it fails, you can identify them and then have appropriate measures in place to replace or have some maintenance done on these devices. You can help in defining some thresholds, some criticality matrices, and some cost avoidance projections. The other key bit on predictive maintenance is collaboration with field ops, because one of the key reasons where the industry is failing right now is having the right people on time to fix the issues. Wherever the issue, they are trying to put the manpower in place, but by the time they are there, it's like 1 hour. So this is critical network infrastructure which you are talking about, right? So if you are able to identify an issue before even it happens, then you can have the right field operations teams to be there to take actionable insights. Then comes the load forecasting and the DER optimization. So the key bit here where we can actually contribute and help is enabling the hybrid forecasting models that you can combine with the traditional forecasting. So with the introduction of DERs, the main challenge what we have is it's a bit difficult to predict, especially with solar and wind, right? It is difficult to predict how much of energy you can receive or you can generate at a certain point of time, right? So with the kind of optimization what we require, what we can do is we can actually look at the forecast from the past few years or the past few months. You can look at the pattern what is being generated in the past few months, and then you will be able to model a system in such a fashion that you will be able to provide forecasting to the industry. And the next key bit is help in interpreting models that results to plan grid investments or pricing. So we talked about different pricing models. We talked about customers who have got EVs and customers have got various demands, right? So what we can do is we can look at the investments, we can look at the time of use pricing models, we can look at their pattern, and we can provide certain tariffs that will provide benefit to the customer. And the last bit is assessing the business case and feasibility of virtual power plants and storage strategies. Right. So the next bit, we talk about customer segmentation and dynamic pricing. So we talked about various patterns, various consumer behaviors, right? So with the introduction of smart meter, what we are noticing is the consumption patterns is easily being provided from the endpoints to the suppliers. So they have the pattern, they have the data what they need. Now, with advanced business analysis and the capability of knowing the customer patterns, we can actually provide segmented tariffs and segmented options for the customers. So we can identify certain personas, we can create some rates, we can create some products, and we can also categorize the customers as either a green advocates or a budget conscious customer. So depending on what kind of behavior they have, we can offer some certain tariffs. We can attract the customers by providing certain tariffs. And the last bit is the support of A and B testing, of pricing pilots, and revenue impact modeling. Right. I would like to summarize that slide by saying that with the kind of right domain knowledge and the business analysis capability, you can act as a strategic connector. You can translate the analytics into business decisions. You can also be a value architect. You can help in prioritizing initiatives based on return on investment, the feasibility and alignment with regulatory and strategic goals. And the last one is the operational integrator. So with the knowledge, what you can do is you can ensure the AI and ML solutions are usable by operations, marketing, and the customer care within the supplier organizations. Right. Next two slides, I'll be talking about the emerging opportunities and the future proofing, what you need to do within this industry. To start with, let's look at energy as a service model. So this is not new. It's been there for quite a while, but this is an emerging thing. This is not fully matured enough. So what is energy and service model? It's a subscription-based model where you get flexibility and sustainability of the product what you use, and it is purely driven from the decentralized generation via renewables. Impact, it lowers consumer cost, it promotes sustainability, and it reduces carbon footprint. Next bit is the virtual power plants and blockchain for certification. So virtual power plants, as most of you know, are not real. These are kind of distributed aggregation of distributed energy resources. So you don't see a grid as such, but you actually combine various energy resources and you make a virtual grid out of it. And blockchain is, again, it's been there for quite some time now, and it's been kind of applied properly into the energy trading industry right now. So for all the energy trading transactions, what they are doing, they are slowly moving away from the traditional way, and they are embedding blockchain into that. So peer-to-peer energy exchanges is the other key bit which we talked about, right? Introduction of EVs and the solar what you have at home. You can generate more power. You can start doing energy trading. Again, impact out of this, it increases the grid stability, and it also improves energy trading efficiency. The next bit on the emerging opportunities is the 5G and 6G usage. It helps to transmit the data faster, and it also helps with making sure that the real-time data collection is happening so that you can do predictive maintenance. So this is something which is coming up right now, and most of the grids are slowly getting adapted to this kind of technology. From a future proofing perspective, we must all start embracing digital transformation. We talked about Gen AI, right? So we should start leveraging those concepts. We should start learning about blockchain if we haven't, and we should see whether that is something which we can apply on the industry we are working on. Should enhance the usage of 5G, 6G on the grid. And scalable solutions. So the solutions, whatever we build for the customer, ensure that those solutions can be scaled with the technology advancements. Because if you know 5G and 6G, today is 5G or 6G, tomorrow it will be something else, right? So the telecom industry is actually moving very fast. So we have to ensure that we have close collaboration with industries. We need to understand how these industries are moving and how the regulatory bodies are putting new regulations on the market. So with that, I would like to call out this slide, which is a kind of call to action for the business analysts who are working on the energy and utilities industry. I would suggest probably these are the things which they should apply in the day-to-day life so that they can call out as a domain business analyst rather than a generic BA. Fundamental thing I'll start with is upskilling in certain tools, right? So go beyond the general BA skills. So you're not going to write just requirements. You need to understand the domain if you want to become a domain business analyst. So study certain tools which will help you in doing that. So I've called out some like Homer, that Stream. So these are energy modeling softwares, what you have within the market. There are a lot of other softwares as well. So depending on which area you're working on, try to upskill yourself in certain tools. Enable data-driven strategies. So, you know, business analysis, the traditional sense, we always say it as it's a bridge between the business and IT, right? Try to change that a bit. Act as the bridge between the business, that is operations, regulatory, and the customer services team by using the analytics data, what you get, and try to align that with the strategy organization has. Outcome, a more agile, transparent, and responsive organization. And the last but not the least, the key bit, drive innovation and change. Yeah. Try to anticipate the industry pain points like decarbonization, grid resilience, or customer engagement, and try to propose creative and tech-enabled solutions. Outcome, you'll be shifting from reactive to strategic innovation catalyst. So to summarize, I want the domain-focused business analysis or analyst to move away from the regular business analysis work stream and start focusing on the domain capability, what they can bring and offer to the customers. So yeah, with that, I'll conclude the slides. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajith. I think we have time for literally maybe one question. So, is there anything? Oh.
I'll make it quick. So, I know we now focus on the energy sector, domain specific areas, but this is like more of a generic part, like business analysts do work in different domains. Just because they work for a specific period of time doesn't make them the domain experts.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm an insurance domain business analyst, and I have been here for 2.5 to 3 years, and I've been ERP, e-commerce, etc. But what should I be doing more to become a domain expert? Because the company that has employers want us to deliver services that's tailored to the project needs and to master domain specific needs. How do I relate it to the project that I'm working on, and how can I, become a domain expert and still be relevant to the work that I'm doing the project?
Yeah. I think the first thing what we need to do is move away from the project mindset, right? Rather than just focusing on what the project ask is, right? Try to get that big picture, right? Go beyond what the project ask is and look at the capabilities that may help in future from that domain. So slowly you need to start learning the domain. So you have to identify the key business sponsors or the key business representatives who can help you out or who can actually guide you in that direction. So that's what I have done in my experience. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.